Hello there guys, it's Easy Tutorials by Dave and we're just looking at the Word 2010 main interface. Now we'll start up here in the top right hand corner and you'll notice this little button here. These are what you call the sizing icons. This one will close the application. This one will restore the application. And this one will minimize the application. Now, if I zoom out just to show you what I'm talking about, if I click on this one here, notice it goes into restored state. And now I could position more windows. So if I drag this up and I put it on the side there, like that, and then restore it down. Oh, it's me old mouse is playing up. And then I open this one, I can literally drag this one here, like that. Drag that one down there, and notice now they're both tiled up. So I could literally type in here and be looking at something over here. So literally that's what it's all about. Now if I just close that for now and then make this full screen, notice the button, if it's in restored state, then the button then changes to what we call maximize, so it makes it full screen. Where this one is the minimize. So what this one does, you click on this one and it actually minimizes it down in the taskbar along the bottom here. And you notice here I'm clicking on the little icon, it's showing me what windows I've got open. So if I had a few I could toggle between the two, but then I click on that little window and then the window comes back and it's full screen again. Then we come over here, I'll zoom in again. We come in and we have a look at this area here. Now this is the application that we're working on, and in this case it's Microsoft Word, and if it was Excel it would say Excel or PowerPoint or wherever we're in. Then this here is the actual file name that you're working on. So if you're working on, let's say, basic text or something like that, it would say that in here. It's just the file name. Then we come across here and we look at this little area here. Now this is what we call the quick access toolbar, and it's designed so we can put extra commands on, commands we would use every day. Things like opening a document, so there's the open button on it, or you might say emails or quick print. I'll put quick print on. So literally I can put all these little buttons up here and I've got quick access for them, and it just saves me looking along here for them. You can remove these buttons if you don't want them on. You can click on this and just click on the buttons again and they disappear. Or you can actually click on the button, right click, and say remove. And this little quick access toolbar, you can change the position of it. So if I click on here and I say show below the ribbon, notice it's now underneath the ribbon. This is the ribbon, I'll explain that in a second. And then if I click on that there and say show above ribbon, now it's back in the position where it is. A lot of people use this quick access toolbar for the regular commands and the hide the ribbon. So it just makes it a little bit easier. Then we come down here to the ribbon itself. Now the ribbon is this big area along here. And the ribbon consists of these different tabs. We've got the File tab, we've got the Home tab, we've got the Insert, Page Layout, References, Mailings, Review, and View. Now, these tabs, obviously, they display different buttons down here, but the one I'm walking you through today is this Home tab. Now, the File tab, let me just go to this one first. The File tab, when I click on it, notice you get all the commands you can execute on the file itself. So things like save, save as, open, close. But this is what we refer to as the Backstage View. And as you can see here, look, I can see the recent documents, the recent places that I've had. But I'll do a video just on this because it's quite in depth. So we'll come back to this tab. Close the Backstage View. Then we come back to this Home tab. Now when you click on the Home tab, notice the tab and the ribbon itself is broken into different categories or groups. Now this first group here, this is what we call the Clipboard. So you've got your cut, copy, paste and things like that. Then you come over here to the Font. Now this is the font area. This is where you can change all the characteristics of the font. Then we've got the paragraphs, and we can look at the paragraph one. This is where you can do all the paragraph. Then we've got the styles, and then we've got the editing section here. Now, like I said, this big area here, this is called the ribbon. And some people like to see it, and some people like to not see it. So what you do is you come to this little button here, and you click on it, and then that disappears. Now, obviously, it's a show and hide button. So if you click it again, it comes back on. Click it again, it disappears. But if the ribbon is hidden away like that, notice the tabs stay where they are. And if I click on the Home tab, it's still there, and I can still bring it access to it. I can also use, and then I can pin it down, and then it'll stay there permanently. I can also use, though, Control F1 on the keyboard, and that does the same job. It hides and displays. But again, a lot of people just leave it. I show you it in case you turn it off accidental, but it's nice. It's designed well, I think. Now, some people would use the 2003 and earlier versions, and they would be used to what we call the dialog boxes. Now, if you look at each category and you look at the bottom here, notice there's a little box. Now, this is what you call your Dialog Box Launcher, and if you click on that, you will get a dialog box. Now, this dialog box here is like the old style in 2003 and previous versions. So you can change your fonts, you can change the size and the regular, bold, italic. And if you're used to this way, then just use your dialog boxes by clicking on these little boxes. So everybody's happy at that point. I'll just say okay to that and get rid of the box. Then we come over here to the help. Now, this obviously just goes and gets your help if you need to ask it a question or what. Goes online and it brings up the help menu. There, look, Windows help, it's just loading it in. But it's quite nice and handy if you wanted to get up on and ask it a question. Then you come down here, and this is what we call, it's this little fella here, and it's view ruler. Now, your ruler is here. This is your horizontal ruler, and this down here is your vertical ruler. This is what you call your tab selector. And your tab selector is so you can set your tabs and things like that. But you can't set tabs without a ruler so they work together. So when these disappear, that will disappear as well. But I'll do a video just for tabs on its own later on in the series. Now, if we click on this little button here, notice the ruler bar disappears. Some people like it, some people don't like it. And if you literally don't like it, turn it off. It's pretty much that simple. Now, if you have a little look here, further down, you've got your little scroll bar. Now, your scroll bar is so you can go, obviously, scroll up and down in the dialog box. Now, if I put a couple of extra pages in, and this here, down here, is your little scroll box. Notice the little page number box as I'm scrolling down. Now, currently, I'm on page 1 of 5, so if I click on that, page 1, and then we'll come down page 2, and then page 3. So that's a really good way of scrolling through your pages. You'll notice that on this one here, you'll notice that there's no horizontal scroll bar. But if you look down here and then I zoom in, that's at 100% at the moment. If I zoom in and then I go to where I would, notice when I do need one, it comes along here, and now obviously I've got the scroll bar because I need it. But when I go back down and I scroll back down watching this, notice it disappears because I don't need it any longer. So we just take it down and then that's it. So you will only get a horizontal scroll bar if needed. Then we come down here. Let me come in here a little bit, and this is what we call browse by object. Now, when you look at this little button, notice this is previous page and next page. And this little button here, if you click it, you get this little palette pop up. Now, this little palette is all about the objects you can browse. You can go to, so I could click on this and go to like page 10 or line 50 or whatever I wanted to do. I can find, which is really good if you've got a big document and you're looking for a particular word. You can browse by edit, by headings. Some of these things you won't understand, especially if you're new to Microsoft Word, but as your knowledge grows, you will get to know them. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to browse by table, and if I click on this browse by table, notice that these little chiffons now, these are blue. Now that means that you're browsing by a particular object. And if you go to it and have a little look there, look, it says previous table, and obviously that one says next table. So you can see that what you're browsing by just by putting your mouse on it. If I click the little button and say page, browse by page, notice these go back to the automatic colour. So I now know that they're browsing by page because they're automatic colour. But that's a really handy tool. Then we'll have a look in this area, we'll stay where we are, and this little area here is what we'll call the zoom slider. Now if you look at the zoom box there, it says 100%. If I zoom in on the plus, notice it's going up, and if I hit the minus, notice it'll come down. And if I pick the slider up and I can drag, I can actually zoom in and out and put it to wherever I want. So that's your zoom slider. This one is your zoom dialog box. Now if you click on that one, you'll get your little dialog box, and here's your box pops up. I can put it to 200%. I could scroll it up to wherever I want here. I could say 100%. I could say page width, so that'll show me per page. Or I could say text width. In other words, you just see the line of the text. Or I could say the whole page and have a look at it as a whole page for page layout. Or if I'm paginating the document, I might want to see like 6 pages altogether, and then I can have a little look at 6 pages. I'm just going to say 100% because that's what I want it on. And I say OK, and notice it goes back to 100%. Then we've got what we call the view buttons. Now these view buttons here are different views for different jobs that you're doing on a document, depending on what you're doing. But if you look at this one, it's called the drafts view. Now that's used if you've got a big document and you've got a lot of graphics in it. It's a heavy document, so the computers struggle with it. Not in today's market because the computers are so good, but it's to speed the document up. This one's what we call the outline view. This is so you can move large amounts of data in easily. So I could use like 10 pages and move 10 pages altogether just by clicking on one heading, which is really good. Then we've got the web layout. That's obviously if you're designing a page to go up on the internet. This one's what we call the full screen reading. If you're trying to read a document in normal print layout view, it can get quite hard, so you've got a reading screen, which just takes a lot of the clutter away, makes it a bit easier. And then this is what we call the print layout. That's what we're working most of the time by default. But you see what you get. So in other words, you're looking at the document, how it's going to come out of the printer. Now this bar that we're on here, this is what we call the status bar. And if you come across here and you keep coming along, you'll come to this side of it. So we're coming on to the left side, and notice here I've got so many things on here. I've got English language, I've got the spell checker, I've got how many words, and then I've got obviously the page 5 of 5 because I'll put some pages on. But if I move the cursor up, you'll see it change, and you can literally change it up. So if I come up here, notice it's 1 of 5, and then if I come down, as I come down the document, it goes to 5 of 5, so you can see it changing. There, look, page 3 of 5. So it's just telling me the position of the cursor in the document. Now, if I zoom back out, just to let you see, we can customize the status bar by right-clicking, and notice now we get this menu. Now, this menu here is all the little things that I can put on that status bar. And if I literally come over here, and you can see the zoom slider and the zoom box. Now if I take the zoom slider off, notice it disappears down there. And if I take the zoom off, notice now the zoom. And if I want to take the views off, I can take the views off as well and keep it clean. So this you can put on things on and off, and they're really good. Now what I do use a lot is this one here, the cap locks. Now if I put the cap locks on and then I touch it on the keyboard, notice down here, down there, look, it's the cap locks, touch it again and it goes off. I use that a lot because I'm always touching the cap locks with my finger, so it's handy for me. But you can customize it and make it work for you and how you want it to work. Now, there's another couple of things I want to show you in the document, and especially in the interface. And if we come up here on the right hand side, and it's just above the scroll bar and the view and hide ruler, and it's that little grommet there, look, it's just a little tiny grabber. Now what you do with this is what we call the split screen. And if we put our little mouse on there and then we drag it down, we can actually split the screen. So what we do, we'll let the bar go there. Now in this area at the top, if I zoom out just a little bit to show you, down here, look, it's page 1 of 5. If I click in it down here and then I go to the very bottom, notice down here I'm looking at page 5. So on this one I'm looking on page 5, and on this one I'm on page 1, and I can see the two different documents in different places at the same time. So I could copy from here and put it in here, and it is really good. I can adjust the size of this window by grabbing out of the bar and moving it up. So I can make one window a little bit bigger than the other if I choose to. To get rid of this one, I just put my mouse on it, double click, and notice it disappears. And now I'm back to one window again. And the other thing I want to show you, I just need a file open to show you this one. Now, if I go to File and Open, let me find a file that I can open. We'll use this basic text, this will be fine. Now then, I can use the split screen on this just to show you what I'm talking about. So I'll get the split screen and I'll bring the little screen down here. In the second, or the bottom window, I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to scroll down to page 2. Now in this one down here, I'm in page 2, and when I click the picture, watch what happens. Now up here you've got your little menus and tabs, and notice that I've got the review and view is my last tab. Now we've got a thing in Microsoft Word called Contextual Menus, and when I click on this picture here and I activate the picture, notice I get picture tools and format, and these are addition to the rest of the tabs. Now this is what we call the contextual menus, and when you click on these menus you will only get this menu when this picture is active. And now I can click on that and I could put borders around my pictures, I can change the picture how it looks. So literally I can format that one picture. Now when I deactivate this picture and I take it off, notice now the menu disappears. So contextual menus will only appear when needed. Likewise, if I just show you this one, I'll just remove that one and I'll remove the split. Likewise, if I'm in here and I go into the headers, notice when I'm in the header, I've got this header and footer, and I'm in the header and footer contextual menu. If I click the picture within the header, notice now I've got the picture format because I've got the picture selected and the header. So these contextual menus will only appear because I'm asking them to be there. And it's just understanding what's going on. But that's what the contextual menus are all about, basically. And that, guys, is your main interface. Oh, one more little thing. If we do this also, you've got these, they're called task panes. So sometimes you'll do a different command and you'll get a little task pane up here. If these task panes do pop up, which they do, and they've got the jobs, and as we go through the videos I will explain them in detail, but if you don't want to see these, most of the times you do need them, but if you don't want to see them, each little task pane has got a little cross. You just click on that little cross and it just disappears and they go away. But you will need them as well. But again, they're like the contextual menus, they only pop up when needed. Now that is your main interface in Word 2010. I hope you found it helpful. If you like the video, give me a like. If you subscribe with us, what we do is we give you access to like a helpline thing. So if you're one of our subscribers and you can't do something, or you want a little bit of advice on something, you can drop us a line and we'll answer you as soon as we can. I hope you found it helpful. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope to see you on the next video. Thank you. Bye.